Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're located. Today we're going to take a look at the advanced capabilities of CAPSYS Capture's email gateway product. What email gateway allows us to do is to monitor email boxes, which could be Microsoft Exchange, Yahoo, Google Mail, or any third-party email system that is either POP3 or IMAP capable. And we can monitor those email boxes for messages and corresponding attachments. Once we set up a process to monitor those messages, mailboxes, we can ingest that content into your capture workflow and follow business process rules that are in alignment with your business objectives. So how do we go about doing this? First of all, we're going to take a look at some of the typical types of scenarios that our customers are running into. They're out in the field, they have messages that they've gathered, perhaps contracts that have been signed or executed, and they want to get those into their corporate environment for processing. A simple example is we have a message here that I've created, and I'm going to send it to an email box called CAPSYS20@gmail. And this is what happens to be a Google Mail account. I have an attachment here called a sample nanny contract, and then I've put a couple of fields in my message here, a supplier name and a supplier number, and we'll come back to that in a little bit. And then the body of the message, perhaps, of what we want to convey in our message to the people that might be receiving these contracts. So typically in a manual environment, somebody sends this off. It's received into a message box, and a user then has to monitor that email box for the incoming messages and maybe print those email messages out with attachments and then run them over to a scanner to user to perform document preparation, scanning, and indexing, so that then you can archive that. And what we want to do is we want to bypass the manual steps of somebody actually monitoring an email box for incoming messages, printing and prepping and scanning and then indexing. We want to automate that process completely so it's lights out, if you will. So how do we go about doing that? Well, we use the Email Gateway product. And what Email Gateway does, as I had mentioned earlier, is it will process these automatically in a lights out type of environment. So to start with, I want to show you a batch profile, because this is how Email Gateway is going to process our messages throughout our organization. So Email Gateway will hit the start event after the messages have come in, and after it's done its value-added steps, it will then send the email message and attachments to the DB lookup process, which is going to go do some advanced database lookups against some repository where we have additional metadata that we want attached to that message. So this is a completely automated step. Email hits the start event, goes to DB lookup after it's been processed. DB lookup does some further database evaluations, bring back additional metadata, and then sends it off to this QC review queue for somebody to review, if you so desire. I'm only going to show this in a demonstration so that you can see the end result of what the message looks like after it's been processed. In many cases, customers completely bypass this step, and the messages will just continue on throughout the workflow process, and then export out to their content repository. We also have what we call document level processing, and here I want to show you this because here's where we have all of our index fields defined. So we have a supplier name and a supplier number, contract number, invoice amount, invoice date, system entry date. So the email body message, the body of the email that we saw earlier, contained these two fields, the supplier name and the supplier number. The rest of these fields are going to be supplied by the DB lookup step we saw earlier. So once the message is processed, it's going to do a DB lookup and fill in contract number, invoice number, etc. automatically. That's what our workflow looks like. Now, how does Email Gateway do all this? So we're going to go in and take a look at the configuration of our Email Gateway. And you're going to see when we bring it up here, we've got a couple email boxes that we're monitoring. This one, CAPSYS20@gmail.com, is one email box that is being monitored, and then any messages that come in are being sent to the AP example with barcodes workflow, and is also going to follow the document type profile called AP with barcodes. Whereas the CAPSYS dealer sales mailbox, which could be on Yahoo or Exchange or, Office 365, whatever, it's going to send its documents that it monitors and ingests to the deal packets workflow in the dealer financing workflow. So completely different workflows, different departments within your organization. These email messages can come in and be routed accordingly. So point here is that you can have multiple mailboxes being monitored by the Email Gateway product, and each follows its own individual workflow step. Now let's go back to our advanced capabilities that we were talking about earlier. So we're going to take a look at the indexing capability of Email Gateway. And I've defined some custom indexes here, supplier name and supplier number. In this case, the supplier name index is going to follow just a very simple script here that we have defined in the system. I'm going to look for the word supplier name in the body of the message, and if it exists, I want to read the data next to it and use that as an index field called supplier name. So that's what this particular script is doing. So it's going to scan or scour the entire body of the email message for that. If it finds it, then it's going to set that value in that field. And we're going to do the same here for the supplier number. Okay. So that's what we have going on as far as advanced scripting inside of the product. It's very simplistic example, but you can do a lot with this in terms of being able to get at data contained in the body of a message rather than having to have somebody go in and actually read the contents of that message. Once I have all this set, I go ahead and hit the OK button. And now my configuration is set and ready to go. So what I'll do here now is I'm going to actually stop our server, and this will allow me to expedite the demonstration process by doing this. I'm going to go ahead and bounce back to my email system here, and I'm going to send this message off that we've been talking about called the CAPSYS contract, and I've attached a contract here as a PDF, and I've put in a couple values, supplier name, supplier number, and then some additional text in my message, such as this. Okay, and once I've gone ahead and I'm ready, and again, this could be on your phone, this could be, email, web-based email, could be full Outlook client, Office 365. It doesn't matter. What's important is that you're looking for the address to send it to, in this case, CAPSYS20@gmail.com, where we have the email gateway connected up to that will do all of the advanced workflow capabilities in email processing. So my email is ready to go. I'll hit the send button. Off it goes. I'm going to go ahead and go back to our server and turn it on. So now it's actually monitoring, it's starting up, and then it'll monitor the email box called CAPSYS20. And I'll just peruse my audit log here, and this will give me an indication when the message comes in. So we can just kind of see all of the services in CAPSYS that are starting up. And then shortly we should see the email message, and here it is. Email messages come in to the system, and now it's going to the DB lookup already. So I can go over to my web client, and I'm going to click on the index tab, and you can see here's the message that has come in. Double click on it, and my case is complete. So I have a case inside of CAPSYS that has been created using email gateway and combination of DB lookup, and it's given me the body of the email message first and the actual PDF document, the sample nanny contract is here in my viewer as well, and then all the values have been filled in automatically. Now again, I'm showing you this step in the indexing stage only for the purposes of demonstrating what was going on behind the scenes. In production, you would probably not enable this step. You just have the email message along with all of the metadata here passed right along the workflow, exported out to your FileBound, Highland, SharePoint, or whatever repository or line of business system you so desire. Hopefully you found this to be helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us by visiting www.capsystech.com. Our social media links on LinkedIn, Facebook, or feel free to email us at sales@capsystech.com or give us a call. Our number is on the website. Again, thank you for your time. Have a good day.